Healing done there. Keeping themselves safe after the scout for the 4 angry men. Up the road compounds here towards the school. S2G outposted both sides of the road here. We have seen a couple of times where it's been 2 or 3 teams in this one settlement, but S2G have control of it for now. The circle still being fairly large means that no teams are really going to be forced into that poor spot.
Yeah, I think that when you're looking at this circle, there is a lot of areas to play, right? There's a lot of elevation, a lot of positions around the map that still have compounds, still have rows that you can play in, still have dips, dives that you can head towards. So I don't think anyone's really put out as of yet. I think for Fireflux, this is maybe becoming a bit more of an issue at this point in time, especially coming down from that northwest side. So yet to have found a home at this point in time. So for them, the rest of the game is going to be a lot about trying to find this next position within the circle. I don't think they have all the information in the world available to them with this type of spot, especially when you get to PMGC. You can see that there's still 63 players remaining, 16 teams still alive. So for a team like Fireflux, finding these positions that are empty, that are still available to pass through, very, very difficult, as teams are quite easily able to bypass one another, open space on the map to allow one another in before they really have to take these necessary fights in the end game.
DRS might have been delivered. A couple of engagements here from Alter Ego. Wolves a little bit further down on the south. But Potato is safe for now in the shack. Stays alive, looking to, sure, drop a couple of stims. We'll be able to get back to full HP here. They are fairly close together for Alter Ego. On their home turf, in their home ground. They'll be able to still be at 4. Who's going to go down first, though? That's the big question here at the PMGC. You don't want to be the first team getting eliminated. The next circle comes through. It's over to the east.
Again, getting that lead on the first day is really good, right? It gives you that big buffer. Able to stick up towards that top side of the lobby for a long, long while. Order being popped out by Alter Ego, no less, as well. Wonderful start for them. What a position that Nova held, and Order scouting out a little bit too dangerously. Not quite down as of yet, but Alter Ego are swarming.
They want to confirm this flush. There's no way that Nova are going to be able to get this one back either. A couple more bullets did land over towards Order, and now the rest of Nova are taking a couple of shots from Alter Ego. Paraboy worried about S2G as well at the top of the hill. Worried about that position as IHC descend onto Rig in the sidelines, and immediately a rundown and a spray down. Demo is taken out in the process, but will be safe for now. Will be just fine for the time being. Demo getting rezzed up there by Ziol.
Yeah, IHC kind of blasted off towards the end of the tournament in league stage. Created a massive gap between them and other teams to allow them to get into this grand finals. Not necessarily one of the best teams here in the lobby, but certainly with a chance to prove themselves as one of those best teams. I think right now there's other teams I've got my eyes on, but again, Mongolia was surprised before over in the PMGC. I'm sure they can do that again.
4 second places for IHC in those last chance scenarios. As Lutz takes a tumble there from Fireflux, the second player of theirs to fall. Hang on a minute, we've got a bit of a scrap with IHC. T2K looking to try and stay alive, but IHC want to finish the job that they started. And Demo again, the one to go down, and once more Ziol picks him back up.
Really good stuff. I mean, Demo's kind of just playing as the absolute punching bag of the team, which is absolutely fine. I'm okay with that. You know, as long as a little bit of sand's pouring out of him, but he's staying up on his feet, brought back. And that defensive shield in front of the team, that's all good for me. So IHC, really, really well done so far. 3 eliminations. T2K didn't know what hit him. Circle up towards our northern side. Solus still with a player on bended knee. 4 AM down underneath and down towards the southeast with Good Xiao. There's Ching Chen down towards the south too. They're playing this 2-2 split. I think that they might be ready to converge on top of Solus and Fireflux if they move further ahead of them, maybe towards that north side, and eliminate their approach into towards that circle.
The last player from T2K spotted out. Location known and isolated by IHC. On the northern side, Koyovsky has the info there as well, but not really too much ground to be playing around with to get those points on board. to slurp them back up into the pocket. Fireflux, 2 players alive. They've been picked apart a little bit. Solus and Solkay, the remaining duo on the south edge of this next circle near Farm. GeekFam currently on the outside in the cold here, southwest side, near Stalwart. Nova to their north. Remember, Nova have lost a player already, so they're only 3. And Vampire further north of that.
Still 3 players, more than enough a lot of times. Influence came in, had a seriously good run throughout the entirety of this year. It's not a case of a team that suddenly they were hit by bright light and able to head in towards the mirror and realize they didn't need the glasses anymore and they were somewhat more muscular. They've always been that way. They've just been working on it for quite some time. Fortunately, it's not going well for them.
Oh, Influence came in, getting caught up in the web of it. IHC stringing them along now. Only Law remains on the backstop as Nova have their own problems to deal with. Nades out through the window. Hang on, 2 teams have already fallen there. The burn down as Geek Squad try and roll it into Nova. It's not going well. They're turning the ties. Jimmy is down, sure, but King and Paraboy set up the crossfire and the Geek Fam are cut down.
Goodness me, Geek Fam. This is a great chance to represent Malaysia here in the PMGC Grand Finals and look for that grand title itself. Unfortunately, going against Nova and getting picked apart like that does not bode well towards a team that is currently defending. Vampire Esports, on the other hand, this may be a different team, a different type of beast altogether.
Jimmy did go down. Now for Nova. A knock went over towards Vampire earlier. Schweppes puts a nade through the window to back him off the angle.
Oh, it's beautiful!
But it goes long and through the door. Paraboy runs right on into it. King now needs to reposition. GeekFam might be able to stay alive off the back of this knock. King dropping those smokes, allowing himself to cross, making sure that he has the cover. Fluke cannot really go for this full aggression just yet. They have to be worried about GeekFam as well, but the hillside's now controlled. King in for the res, but in comes Stone and Ravenclaw in the vehicle. In through the window, pulls the ordnance, and there they go. Nova down and out in the first match.
An entirely different beast is exactly what this team is. Sharp fangs, long claws, and massive, massive potential to scare here in the late game, prowling out from the bushes. Really, really well done to Vampire Esports. Cut themselves a nice bit of the circle for themselves over on this western side, can move through it. Good positions to move up against as well towards that east. With Alter Ego taking a couple of knocks there, that might just be their go signal.
Delta definitely spotted Qingtian going on into the shack, and there's the Molotov. Is it going to spread? Is it just fallen a little bit short? I think it might be able to get a first aid off there and stay alive, but that nade in through the door might just seal the deal. Outside again, a DRS laying it short.
DRS, honestly, they played a very safe type of game over in the league stages. Waited a long, long time, and it wasn't until towards those final moments we really saw what they were made of, John, honestly. And I think that once we did see that, we saw that, you know, they were maybe a little bit more tougher than we expected. Considering now on the edge a lot of times, now they're taking the fights to these big teams over in the PMGC.
Wolves stalwart already looking for the crash. The Wolves lose the first on the engagement. Action already on 2 eliminations as Remember falls. Memory wiped out as well. Scry into the ground floor, stays up and kicking as well. Beautiful and Pick feet to the back lines now. Looking to pick Remember back up. Scry gets that heal off and they remount their aggression. Scry in through with that DBS. Action takes a lot of damage, but Pika is already forwards with the UMP. Pick feet falls on the top floor and Beautiful's there as well. He's found and Stalwart keep it on rolling. The Chinese teams are being pulled apart here, Blank.
Really good stuff there from Stalwart. And again, this is definitely no longer these years of PMGC being all about China. We have some seriously good teams, Alpha 7 included, taking it to the guys from Buddhadam so far. Mythic down behind them, but if anyone can do it, Revo can. This guy has been certainly impactful for the team.
Carrillo is still there as well. Tiger with the zone pushing in will have to move now. Demo from IHC. We've seen him be, you were talking about it, a little bit of a punching bag earlier, Blank, and that sand is still topping him up. Vampire on the western edge. Playing still with 4, pushing in. They will need to move past Alter Ego. Fnatic on the off angle. Vampire may be potentially unaware of it, but it looks like they're playing on that ridgeline. 4 players from Alpha 7. In the meantime, on the eastern side, this is the opposite end of the circle from Vampire and Alter Ego. They're going to move on forwards, take the challenge with DRS. IHC forcing this into a linear engagement.
Again, a lot of fights can start to pop off now. All these positions no longer really able to just sit around and wait for these teams to get a little bit closer. Inco, though, once again, that macro, that game sense coming into play where they pick up that northern side compound. They do it so often, they do it so well, it almost looks like luck, but I don't think we can say that it is anymore. They just have a very good awareness of where these circles are going and which are the best compounds, which are the best routes in. All 4 players currently holding on that northern side. The only other teams that may be able to contest is S2G as well as IHC, right on the edge. But look at this, IHC is suffering.
Alpha 7, they felt the pressure of that linearized fight, and they said, you know what? We're not messing about here. We're going to isolate you. We're going to take you out of the mix. 6 eliminations now on the cards for Alpha 7, and they can continue to push in from the eastern side towards and potentially past DRS. Alter Ego in the meantime. Potato up the top of the hill has got a lot of sightlines to deal with, but Stalwart have other ideas. They're going to move up and potentially look to dethrone him.
Stalwart, like you said, looking to pull the players from Alter Ego away from this position. They also have to worry about Vampire Esports, who I think just have found one over on Alter Ego's side. That's Rex going down. Fnatic, Pombit still alive over towards the north here on that 2-1 split. So Inco really still have a fantastic position in the circle. Looking to pick up some big points here to start off the game. This is what they usually do. It's what they usually did over in league stage, which is pick themselves up a big game at the beginning and then run from it from there.
Alpha 7 have taken a knock, as have Stalwart. Vampire, 5 eliminations. They're playing well and together, but they have got a little bit of ground to cover now ahead of them. Alter Ego stay alive as 3. Taking heavy punishment from the north side now. It's S2G taking shots out their way. Fnatic will be able to get that first aid off, but up goes the vehicle and slow it goes down. Potato gets baked. And they're looking to add the cheese as well for 4 angry men. It's just Ching Chen remaining. The Bison in hand as well. Ponbet last standing, wants to res Fnatic in this position. Ching Chen flushes out the teammate.
Again, if he takes down the last 2, that would be a pretty convincing 1v3 coming through from 4 AM. With 8 teams remaining, potentially some good points here for them. DRS still going strong though. You see them with 4 players still alive, 4 eliminations, certainly not bad. Alpha 7 with 6 and 4 teammates still up. Make that 7 now, looking to start out these games strong.
Inco in an engagement, but Nene Bete is holding his own, as we know he can do for Inco. Vampire moving on in now as S2G have moved down south to try and engage on this as well. Up the top, Alter Ego still struggling. So we hop over to the other side of the circle now again. Hang on a minute, we're back here. Silas launches a nade up the hill and Fnatic takes a tumble. Ponbet last standing now for Alter Ego. Damage done though to the ranks of the Vampires as Alter Ego swept aside. 8th place, 1 elimination. Stalwart now with a challenge on DRS on the south side. Forwards position for actions. Pika is already down as Scry is dispatched by Gianti on the off angle. A nice find, nade in hand on the bottom of the hill, and the res up front needs to come through now, or it needs to stay tall. Rules might not even know about it. Hang on a minute, he's pushed all the way through. He's managed to get a knock on the back, and top falls as well, but they've turned around on Gianti now under pressure from action, but it's DRS, and Stalwart fall.
An insanely good crunch there coming out from DRS from either side. I don't think Stalwart saw what was coming. They went for a greedy res there towards the end too, and just wasn't quite enough. This is again what I was talking about earlier, is there's absolutely no teams within this lobby that are not a threat anymore. You cannot just pass anyone up. You can't go for these greedy type of plays. You just have to get out of dodge. Yes, having 4 players is going to lead you to a better chance of getting that win or maybe tailing out of that fight, but sometimes you just got to run away, and that is what potentially Stalwart should have done with the smokes. Maybe got 1 knock and then just scarpered. Could still go for that top 5 position. That top 3 was still in in the bag, still available.
DRS turn their attention to Vampire now. Ravenclaw falls. Vampire did get up to 4. But they're bumped back down to 3 fairly quickly. DRS. They have 4 players of their own, and Ravenclaw gets flushed out pretty fast there. Fluke closest now and will feel the brunt of a nade in a second to dunk it down. An alley-oop set up by the DRS squad. 9 eliminations now. And the Nepali team doing so much work on the rundown. It's the Stone to close it down. S2G, hang on a minute, they stolen a couple away. Vampire eliminated, and now they're into the fight. S2G taking on DRS, and in the midst of it all, Ching Chen has stayed alive for 4 angry men.
Oh my days, Nepali fans everywhere going to be very happy with how this game has come out. DRS playing a very, very passive game over in the league stage, but as soon as they're here in the PMGC, they've had to turn things up by 11, which is great to see. DRS currently looking very, very clean with it right now. A couple more teams to go. S2G, obviously a very strong team hailing from Turkey. 4AM, 1 player remaining for them. Inco with 3, with that extremely strong position over towards that northern side. But again, DRS, they have lost 1 player, so this is still all to play for.
2 Brazilian teams remain, Alpha 7 and Inco. Alpha 7 in a little bit of a crunch, though, on the eastern side. Mythic low and actually under pressure from Inco, the other team from Brazil. And they will find the final knock there, the final flush. 7 eliminations, 5th place for Alpha 7. That's a very good start to their tournament.
It's a really good start to their tournament. I mean, that's going to bump them up massively. It'll give them that 11-point average kind of lead very early on in terms of like a 3-game buffer, which is ideally what you want if they can take it just a little bit further now. I think DRS realizes this, which is why they slow things down massively. S2G, though, still have a chance to bring things back for themselves. It'd be a really good opportunity here to make their countrymen proud.
With the announcement that the next global finals will be held in their home country, they're looking to make their mark, to try and state their claim to be there in 2023, but they've got to get through this one first.
Really good developments coming through from Turkey this year, honestly. Just in terms of players, in terms of teams, in terms of infrastructure. And again, this has probably been one of the best years in terms of adding those really, really influential players from around the world. And again, DRS takes this one to a grinding halt now. Waiting for any of these teams around them to make a mistake. Push just a little bit too far.
And they better with that AWM, a fearsome sight as an outpost for Inco. A star player for the roster. With a big heavy hitting gun, Vitali ducks back into the blue, takes a lot of damage to retrieve that buggy, but that could be very, very valuable in the next circle or 2 to keep them alive, to give them a little bit more cover. Ching Chen still alive, top 4.
Top 4 is great right now for 4AM. They'll take this. Yes, they only got 1 elimination, but the point system, how it still is right now, 3rd, 2nd place really does offer you a very good amount of points, and this kind of game can be salvaged off the back of points lead like that. For 4AM to identify that, just go for this kind of gameplay. You know, it's not what they would probably do in PAL, but in the PMGC 2022 Grand Finals, this is a good call to make, and that is that adaptability of a lot of these Chinese teams coming into play.
Just needing to move a little bit further forwards in the next zone. Pretty close to the edge right now. The blue zone will not slow. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from. DRS on the south side, lurking to sweep across this hill a little bit. Inco are holding out. Ching Chen finally, I think, starting to strike as the solo player. Needing a little bit more ground, a little bit more position. Might be coming from DRS that actually, but S2G nonetheless still all live and kicking. All of them still in action. Kelsey on the backstop.
Kelsey, it's a good angle, but it's Vitali. Some beautiful shots there from the SLR, looking for one more. Sees the bearers in the helmet. Can he thread the shot over the top? But no. From downhill, it was not meant to be.
Nenebete under pressure, found out as well, just Vitali. S2G taking heavy, heavy punishment. Vitali, he's got the SLR, and now Hamzy left with the duo of Kelsey to try and stay alive. DRS are in the midst of it all. 3 players for them. 6 eliminations on Killer, by the way, in the meantime. And the players from Inco started to fall down the hill. In the midst of it all, still Ching Chen stays alive, but finally dispatched. The 4 angry men will go down in 4th place. Now, Vitali around the edge has the DBS. Waits for him to go close. I don't even know if that was from the DBS. Yes, it was. Hamzy sent packing, and now Inco down the hill leaves DRS a golden opportunity, which they will seize with both hands. The Nepali team shout loud in the first match.
Can you believe it though? Nenabete was looking with the AWM to make a splash in his first game, but in fact it was Vitali out of nowhere with the SLR and that DBS to finish things off for S2G, but DRS really knew when to speed up that game, when to slow it down, and 100% deserved that win there for Nepal. Really, really, really strong play from them. You can see that they're relieved by this as well. This is going to give them that nice points buffer available to them to carry on going.
That was pretty heavy as a game for them as well. They had a lot of eliminations on the card. You could see their 6 eliminations for their MVP this game. 1.4k damage, near enough.